When the job market tanked, forcing families to reevaluate finances, food insecurity across America exploded. The Missoula Food Bank felt the pressure almost immediately. MTN's Megan Mannering tells us how they responded to the call as we look back at a year of the pandemic.
Unfortunately, we were a growth industry before the pandemic. We had always, we tend to be busier today than we were yesterday in an ongoing way.
In 2019, the Missoula Food Bank and its 400 weekly volunteers saw nearly 27,000 people walk through those doors, and that was before the pandemic.
Last year, more than 36,000 separate individuals walked through our doors. That's close to 20% busier than we were in calendar year 2019.
These numbers paint a devastating picture for the Missoula community.
So many families are hurting a little more than they were a year ago.
But when our citizens turned to the food bank for food security, Executive Director Aaron Brock says they didn't have time to panic. They only had time to act.
It really was March 13th of last year. That was a day that we all realized this is happening, it's happening right now, and we need to adjust our distribution immediately. So we spent that entire weekend setting up a whole new distribution model. It's been grab and go now for an entire year.
What once operated as a free grocery store with items on shelves shifted to quick interactions with volunteers, grabbing a preloaded shopping cart based on family size and hitting the road.
The idea is that if I need groceries, I'm really only in the food bank for 30 or 45 seconds.
If it weren't for an outpouring of donations, Brock says their supply wouldn't have met the demand.
There were so many generous Missoulians and folks in this region who stepped up and said, as you're dealing with how to respond, let's make sure that you don't worry about having enough money to buy the food that you need.
In Missoula, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Seeing how efficient their operation has become, Brock says that the food bank may continue to offer some sort of grab-and-go service even after the pandemic ends.
We know the pandemic is a mental and emotional stressor, but for some it's also testing their faith. MTN's John Riley met with faith leaders to get their perspective on guiding their congregations through one of the most challenging times we've faced.
A church, by definition, is community. Over the last year, faith communities of all sizes have had to reevaluate what community looks like during a deadly pandemic.
One of the things that we have really been focusing on for the last several months is how do we build connection? How do we build community when we are physically far apart?
Virtual services have been incredibly important for churches to provide spiritual well-being while also protecting their congregation.
Community, we have learned to define it in new ways, like we do have electronic community, but throughout all of our evolution, community really meant close physical contact, and that's what we've really mourned.
Helena United Methodist Ministries and the Montana Episcopal Diocese say moving to digital has had its benefits and burdens. Ultimately, their decisions were made out of compassion towards their community, to protect and care for each and every one of their neighbors. Many religions are tactile by nature. Touching, sharing, holding are at the core of many churches, be that baptism or understanding death. One of the most important functions of any church is providing guidance through the end of life, be that an individual or a family. The very nature of the pandemic has kept people separated, which has led to many heartbreaking situations.
We've lost not very many, but a few parishioners, and it's been tough. And it's been tough for those that have died not from COVID, but from other things. I've had a staff member whose wife died of a chronic disease, and he was not able to be with her.
We've really wrestled with how do we walk with people through the important rituals of life that the church has a significant role to play with people.
Yet, even though the last year had been dark, brilliant rays of light have shone through too. Parishioners and lay members in both congregations have taken note of individuals who've become isolated from others and regularly reach out to provide that human connection.
So who's isolated, who's living alone? Let's make sure that they get a regular phone call to check in. see how they're doing.
I really think that's, in these dark times, we have started to relearn and be reminded of what's really valuable.
Check now of our forecast. Russ Thomas is in for Lou Starts this week. Good morning, Russ.
Hey, good morning, Mike. Thank you, and good morning to everyone out there. Now, I want to talk about this past weekend. Those temperatures were so nice. We saw mid to upper 50s on Saturday across most of western Montana. Then yesterday, Missoula hit a high temperature of 60 degrees. Last time we were at 60, which was actually, we hit a high of 69 degrees back on November 5th. Since then, we haven't seen the 60-degree mark at all. So it was so good to get back there for sure. See, the record 67 really not too far off that record high. The average high 49, well above that. So we're getting to that point though in March where even that average temperature is right about the 50-degree mark. So some good news there. I'm trying to get these graphics going here. Hopefully we can get that moving. If not, I will walk over to the board and take care of that myself. What do we have for you as we look ahead? Kalispell yesterday hit a high temperature in the upper 50s as well. Really am struggling to get these graphics going, so we'll see if we can make this work here. 58 degree was our high temperature in Kalispell. Quickly moving through forecast headlines. Mostly cloudy conditions today. We are going to see changes. Cooler out there with a few showers, just a few, mainly later this evening and early on Tuesday. Temperatures right now, we're looking at a lot of low to mid 30s across the valleys of western Montana. A few 20s out there in some spots as well. Take a look at our future tracker. What do we have for today? I think we've got these graphics moving once again. We're going to go mostly cloudy again later today. Opportunity for just a few showers. Nothing significant, just a few out there. High temperatures, while they're not as warm as yesterday, in fact, will be about 10, 11, 12 degrees off in many areas. We're just talking about the normal for this time of year. So just getting back to those seasonal norms. 50 Missoula, 50 Stevensville and Darby, 51 in Sula. We've got 49 in Kalispell, mostly cloudy today, mostly cloudy, 49 degrees in Hamilton. But again, the odds of showers pretty limited, 20 to 30% chance that goes into tonight as well. We'll see those lows dropping back down into the 30s. Quick forecast for tomorrow. We start to clear out by tomorrow afternoon. We're looking really good. And that leads us into Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day. 54 degrees, good day for St. Patrick's Day. Thursday, 58, that's the warmest day of the week. Friday, 55, and then we're back right around 50 for Saturday. For Kalispell, 49, mostly cloudy on your Monday. 50 Tuesday, again, St. Patrick's Day looking at 51 degrees, mostly sunny again on Thursday with a high of 56. Cooling off a little bit as we head toward the end of the week.
Coming up next, the pandemic cut off their jobs as entertainers on a cruise ship, so it was on to Plan B, and Western Montana is now enjoying their unique style. Stick around. Montana This Morning will be right back.
From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
The pandemic shut down most of the entertainment industry, and in Montana, artists are trying to stay afloat. MTN's Geneva Zoltek caught up with a couple of cruise ship musicians pivoting to play here.
On February 20th, 2020, the World Health Organization let us know that one place besides China was a hotbed for the rapidly spreading respiratory virus, COVID-19. A tweet from the organization stated, quote, "Of all cases outside China, over 1/2 are among passengers on the Diamond Princess cruise ship." Local musicians told MTN News their story of working on cruise ships during the start of the pandemic and how they're now pivoting to bring some of that sunshine here to Montana.
So I work on cruise ships, and with the current pandemic, we are landlocked. So it's going to be maybe even another year until I go back to work. And it happened about a month ago, even to the day. It was March 14th that they put in the no sail order. And that means that we can't be in U.S. waters by any means.
Dean said U.S. lockdowns prevented him from hopping on a flight back home.
I ended up being stranded out there for 2 months.
800 employees, including Dean, could not go home until everyone was completely symptomless. After finishing a 2-month isolation period at sea, the employees got off the boat and eventually...
I came back up to Montana and moved here with my bandmate, and we started a band.
Joseph Bowdy worked as a DJ on an Australian cruise line, but was on the mainland when the pandemic hit, telling MTN News many people he knew lost employment.
So not only was entertainment really cut, but cruise ships specifically. And so that was hard. And so everybody's adapting as much as they can.
The pair decided they would adapt by touring Montana and showcasing cruise-style entertainment.
We kind of fought through it for a lot, worked a couple of odd jobs, and then we kind of realized people just want that feeling of a vacation again. And so that's what we're going to just keep trying to bring.
The band plays their island set when they have a gig, and their props on stage emulate a tropical vacation.
So many people fought through so many hardships this past year, personally, financially, mentally. And so that's really kind of what inspired us, is to bring, because on the cruise ships, our motto was just fun.
Bowdy says the band name pays homage to everyone working normal jobs, but still may have the tendency to stay up late to write a poem, draw a picture, or pick up an instrument.
The group is called Rippy Dippy and the Hidden Hippies.
The home base for the band is Frenchtown, and MTN News caught up with them in Florence at the Rustic Hut. In Florence, Geneva Zoltek, MTN News.
And coming up next here on Montana This Morning, as we head into the beginning of the week, we'll see a shift in our weather pattern. That means not as warm as this weekend, slightly better chances of rain. I'll have your forecast coming up after the break.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Russ Thomas.
Welcome back on your Monday morning. Hope your day is off to a good start. Great weekend coming off a wonderful weather weekend where temperatures warmed up to 60. Missoula and other parts of western Montana hitting that 60-degree mark as well. And if you didn't get there, you're at least in the mid-50s. And we're looking around the state right now. We're back down in the 30s. Starting off is a little bit warmer. Still, I mean, cool out there, obviously, but with that cloud cover that moved in place overnight, and you'll see it when you go out this morning, it does insulate us a little bit, so we're not dropping off. Last week, we were in the low 20s. For many of our mornings this time of day. That's not the case right now. Quick look at our satellite radar. You can see a lot of cloud cover. And again, I think today is going to be one of those days. It's going to feature more clouds and sun. But in terms of opportunities for showers, yeah, they're going to be there later today and tonight. But the odds are pretty low. And anything we see is going to be very light. In other words, we're not looking at a system that's going to move through, that's going to bring much in the way of rain or snow to western Montana. Future track, what do we have as we move through the day? And this kind of gives you an idea right here. We'll get a little sunshine in there with that cloud cover, but notice kind of a lack of showers with this system. Just not a lot of organization with it or strength with it in terms of actually bringing rain or snow to the region. That's going to leave us with our highs today about 8 to 12 degrees cooler than yesterday, depending on location. And again, a good example. Yesterday, Kalispell, we hit a high of 58. We're going to go about 49 today. Missoula hit a high of 60. We're going to go 50 today. That's about average for this time of year, so it's not going to be cool, just cooler than yesterday. We'll eventually get back up to those 60s, though I don't know if it's going to be this week, but we'll get there. Missoula at 32, 8 a.m. this morning, 41 at noon, 50 this afternoon, maybe a couple raindrops by this evening. Overnight tonight, lows dropping down into the low to mid 30s once again with pretty good cloud cover and that chance of showers. For your Tuesday, we'll start to clear out later in the day, and that's going to leave us with a very nice rest of your week. Quick look at our 7-day forecast in Missoula. 49, partly cloudy tomorrow, mostly sunny. St. Patrick's Day, 54. Back up to 58 on Thursday and 55 on Friday.
Thanks, Russ. Community dancers took advantage of the warm March weather with a show just in time for St. Patrick's Day. The Missoula Irish dancers performed live for the first time since the pandemic started just a year ago on Saturday morning at Caris Park. They showcased their moves for parents, family, and onlookers. The traditional Irish step dance school hosts classes for children grades K through 12. Owner of Missoula Irish Dancers, Sarah Donnelly Litz, told MTN News this year is atypical for the school and that students are excited to be performing again.
It's wonderful. I mean, usually we're slammed for the month of March. Like, we have tons of performances all over town. We only have 2 scheduled for this year, which that's better than nothing. We're just happy to be out here, and kids are so happy to show their parents what they've been working on all year, and so it's really nice.
If you missed the dancing, the Irish Studies program at the University of Montana will present a virtual concert of Irish music on St. Patrick's Day.
The Missoula Police Department and law enforcement agencies around the state will be conducting extra patrols on St. Patrick's Day this Wednesday. They're reminding those who might be celebrating to make a safe and responsible plan for how to get home after the party. MPD Sergeant Matt Kaczynski says while you're making your St. Patrick's Day agenda, make sure you spend some few minutes or so planning safe transportation. He says you can call a Lyft, Uber, a green taxi, yellow cab, or find a designated driver. Well, before we head to break, congratulations to former Grizz basketball coach Wayne Tinkle, who guided Oregon State to a surprise Pac-12 tournament championship and a spot in the NCAA tournament. We'll have more news following the Farm and Ranch Report coming up next.
Now, here's your Farm and Ranch Report from the Montana Ag Network.
Welcome back for today's Farm and Ranch News. In our top headlines today, we see that Montana National Guard troops on duty in our nation's capital will soon be getting fresh from the farm food. Montana Farmers Union and Farmers Union Enterprises announced it will be donating $50,000 to provide nutritious box meals. The meals will come from the Founding Farmers restaurants based in Washington, D.C., which is owned and operated by Farmers Union. Dan Simons, the manager of the Founding Farmers and Farmers Restaurant Group, said lunch and dinner meals will be delivered in the next week to National Guard troops for distribution through their food service network in Washington, D.C. In other headlines now, higher grain prices, more planted acres, and strong demand for inputs make fertile ground for ag retailers. After two strong agronomy seasons in 2020, ag retailers and wholesalers begin the 2021 planting season with favorable industry fundamentals and an opportunity to expand profit margins, according to a new report from CoBank's Knowledge Exchange. The report cites since last August, prices have increased more than 60% for corn and soybeans and nearly 20% for wheat in response to tight ending stocks and continued strong demand from both export markets and domestic processors. The cyclical turn in grain prices, combined with robust government support payments, drove a surprise recovery in farm income, leaving growers in a sound financial position heading into spring. And given the higher acreage forecast, farmers are expected to increase purchases of inputs such as fertilizer and new seed varieties in the coming months. We'll be right back. As we come back to today's report, we see that farm tractor and combine sales have increased here in the United States, according to the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. The association released their February sales report data, and it shows U.S. tractor sales were up 41% from the same month last year. For the first 2 months of 2021, more than 32,000 tractors were sold, which compares to 23,900 sold through February 2020. Representing a 34% increase year to date. Combine sales were down 19% for the month, but sales of combines for the 2 months totaled 544, increasing 25% over the same period last year. And finally today, just one more reminder that this Monday, March 15th, is the deadline to enroll in the price loss coverage or agriculture risk coverage programs for the 2021 year. Program enrollment, which farmers can do on a commodity-by-commodity basis, is required to participate in the program this year. ARC and PLC are Title I commodity safety net programs established in the 2018 Farm Bill. For the 2021-22 crop year, farmers can change their coverage options from what they selected in 2019 for each of the commodities and base acres enrolled. Of course, you need to contact your local Farm Service Agency to enroll or make those changes. Contact them here today. That's today's Farm and Ranch News.
From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning, and thank you for waking up with us here on Montana This Morning. I'm Lauren Heiser. Mike Powers and Russ Thomas join me now as we start this Monday morning. Good morning, you guys. How was your weekend?
Very nice. Very nice. Can't beat the weather.
Absolutely. It was gorgeous out.
It really was something.
You really can't. Yeah, you know, I mentioned the idea yesterday. Well, Saturday was a great day. Sunday, Missoula hit a high of 60. That's the first time since November 5th. Now, I have not counted the days because that seems like a lot of math this early in the day, but it's at least 8. So it was a long time ago. It was really nice, especially yesterday afternoon to get outside. Were you outside yesterday afternoon?
Not yesterday, but I did get to go to Yellowstone over the weekend, and I have a bunch of photos to share of that later. But Mike, you're dog sitting, aren't you?
I am, and we got out and went for some walk and everything. But I will tell you that the time change messed his schedule up because normally he comes in at 7:30 and is down for the night, but it was still sunshine out. And he wanted to get out and run around a little bit, so we're adapting. Everybody's adapting.
Mike's like, none of that. No, we're not doing that. All right, let's go talk about, I will tell you this, we are not going to sit or stay in the 60s. However, so we're going to cool down, but it's not going to be a dramatic change. We're just going to drop back down for the next couple days, close to what's normal for this time of year. And then on Thursday, actually, we'll see a nice little bump in our temperature once again. Well, right now, we're 36 in Polson, 30 in Kalispell, 33 Hamilton, 32 Missoula. We've got some 20s. We've got some 30s out there. Again, one thing we're noticing is just an above average start to the day in terms of our temperatures. And the reason we were so warm yesterday and the clouds moved in overnight, helping to insulate us a little bit. In fact, we're going to take a look at those clouds right now, and you can see them streaming from south to north across western Montana. We'll continue to see a good deal of clouds today. However, in terms of showers, not much to talk about there. A slight chance tonight and early tomorrow. We'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, you probably thought the 2020 election was over. Think again. It's possible a current member of the U.S. Congress could be kicked out in the coming days, not for inappropriate behavior or for breaking any rules, but for actually not winning their election. Our Joe St. George with a closer look now at what's going on and whether Congress swore in the wrong person.
Congress has been busy this year.
The bill as amended is passed.
They just passed a stimulus package, they endured an insurrection, and voted on impeachment. But is there someone actively voting as a member of Congress who shouldn't be there? Well, the answer depends on who you ask. The controversy is all about the 2nd Congressional District in Iowa, represented by Republican Congresswoman Marinette Miller-Meeks. She defeated in November, according to Iowa state officials, Democrat Rita Hart, by, get this, just 6 votes, one of the closest elections in American history. But Hart is saying she actually won the election, and the 22 ballots were not counted that should have been.
Each House of Congress shall be the judge of its own elections.
As a result, the House Committee on Administration has started investigating whether they swore in the wrong member of Congress. Republicans are furious.
We're having a meeting to move forward with overturning an election of one of our colleagues.
But so far, the committee hasn't dismissed calls to drop the challenge, and investigation continues.
These allegations warrant further investigation by the committee.
As far as how this impacts you, well, changing one seat would not impact the balance of power in Congress, but it could set a precedent for Congress being more involved in who gets sworn in close races. Speaker Pelosi said last week there is a scenario where the current congressman gets kicked out.
There could be a scenario to that extent.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Joe St. George.
Half of the jurors have been seated for week 2 of the trial of Derek Chauvin. Julia Janae with our partner Court TV has the latest.
Jury selection continues with week 2 in the case of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. There are half of the necessary jurors already seated on this panel in the case of George Floyd's death. Those jurors underwent rigorous questioning, and we expect that to continue with a fresh batch of new jurors for the pool. Now, most of those jurors were asked about how they feel seeing the security precautions around the courthouse. This building is more of a fortress with several layers of security inside and the National Guard posted outside. They've also been asked if they feel minorities are treated differently by police. And one woman who agreed with that statement is now a member of the panel, a woman in her 50s selected on Friday. She brings the breakdown of this jury to 5 men and 2 women, ranging in age from their 20s to their 50s. The court needs in total 14 jurors, 12 on the panel and 2 alternates to complete the jury selection process. The state still has 4 strikes to use if they want when going through the jury selection, and the defense still has 7. Reporting in Minneapolis, Julia Janae for Court TV.
It is hard to believe how much our lives have changed over the last year. Here in the newsroom, we remember that very first day 1 year ago when Missoula health officials warned us it could be bad. MTN's Megan Mannering takes a look back at the past year, starting with that first day.
We will have more cases, and it will get more alarming.
And some of what we're doing is unprecedented.
We are just trying to get our hands on the same kinds of testing supplies that everybody in the world is trying to use right now.
March 15th, 2020, as members of the media anxiously waited with notepads and cameras, Missoula County health officials announced they had activated the incident command team. COVID was spreading.
We know that we're not going to stop this from coming to Missoula County. That's why it's called a pandemic.
That Sunday morning, we first heard the terms flatten the curve and slow the spread. Unprecedented times had finally come knocking. And the cases came to Montana before the answers did. Even our health experts admit they didn't know what they didn't know.
I would have never a year ago imagined that we would live in a world where you can't leave and go out in public without wearing a mask.
Over the course of 12 months, the Missoula City County Health Department came to the forefront as one of the strictest counties in the state for enforcing mandates. But Incident Commander Cindy Farr stands firm in her department's decisions.
We've had to make some really tough decisions over the past year, but in the end, what I think about are the lives that were saved. Yes, we have lost people in our county to COVID, but we also, we're doing everything that we could to ensure that we could save as many lives as we could. And I feel really good about that. And, it makes it worth the threats and the lawsuits.
Considering all that's changed, many wonder if we'll ever return to life as it was before COVID.
The unknowns are really more related to immunity and whether or not we are really going to be able to achieve herd immunity, or if we're just going to have to be aware that COVID could, be a low-level transmission forever.
So we wait for the research to uncover answers.
While we've learned a lot over the last year, there's still so much more that we need to learn at this point.
With less than a quarter of our county's population vaccinated, the masks stay on, the rules remain, and the pandemic plays a part in our everyday lives.
We can't call it a win when we're still in the third quarter.
In Missoula, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Well, this past year has been a spiritual test for many. Local faith leaders say it's through adversity that we grow and find strength. For a year, churches across Montana have been using digital services to reach their congregations. The move to digital was to protect their community and do their part to protect their neighbors. For the United Methodists, going digital had its benefits and its burdens. Digital means less contact, which is at the core of most churches. Reverend Margaret Gilkin says faith is like a muscle. It's strengthened by working out, and the pandemic has certainly been a marathon.
The gift, the silver lining of COVID is that we've been strengthened for this task. Whether we wanted to be strengthened in this way or not, we have been.
It's time now for a look at the forecast with Russ Thomas.
Thank you. Good Monday morning to everyone out there. We've got our forecast headlines where we begin. Mostly cloudy conditions today. It's a big change from the weekend. We saw nothing but sunshine. Actually, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were nothing but blue sky sunshine days. Not so much the case today or tomorrow. Cooler with just a few showers. And we're talking later this afternoon through early Tuesday morning, that opportunity's there. 20%, 30% chance anything we see is going to be very light. Then later in the week, we warm back up, in particular on Thursday. St. Patrick's Day, which is Wednesday, is going to be nice as well. So some good news there. If you have any plans to be outdoors on St. Patrick's Day, I think you're going to like that. Temperatures right now, we're looking at generally low to mid 30s with a few 20s scattered here and there around western Montana. That's a little above the norm for this time of year. As we look at our future track, what are we looking at as we move into the daytime hours today? More clouds than sun, but notice we look at our future track here. Prediction for showers, about a 30% chance northwest Montana, Flathead Valley. Then you start heading farther south, about a 20% chance in the Mission, Missoula, and Bitterroot Valley. Again, that's for later today into tonight. By tomorrow, those odds of showers go down once again. Again, we got a lot of cloud cover, though, at times today. High temperatures, upper 40s to low 50s, about 10 degrees below where we were yesterday. But that's just about average for this time of year. So we're going to be in good shape. It was just so warm and so nice yesterday. Today, mostly cloudy, 50 in Missoula, 49 Kalispell, 49 in Hamilton. Those same areas saw temperatures in the upper 50s to 60 yesterday. Overnight tonight, lows dropping back down into the 20s and low 30s. Again, a few scattered raindrops and snowflakes here or there. Then we look ahead into our Tuesday. We're going to have a nicer day in the sense that we'll get more sun, especially during the afternoon hours. Temperatures will be about the same. 49 degrees is what we're looking at on Tuesday in Missoula. Check out your Wednesday. Mostly sunny, St. Patrick's Day, 54 degrees. How about Thursday? We're close to 60 once again. 58 that high, 55 on Friday. Then it looks like a little bit of a cool down again with a slightly better chance of showers next Saturday and Sunday. For Hamilton, 49, mostly cloudy today. Quick shot of showers tonight. By tomorrow, we're back to partly cloudy, 48, 54 on Wednesday, 58 Thursday, 55. Good looking day on Friday. So a great second half of the week for sure. In Kalispell, we go 49, mostly cloudy today, 50, then 51 on St. Patrick's Day. Good looking afternoon, 56. Nice day Thursday, 52 on Friday. Great way to wrap up the week. Next weekend, we'll see slightly cooler temperatures.
Coming up next on Montana This Morning, Chill Valley examines a new resource to help those who are in the fight of their lives.
From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
When the doctor says you have cancer, your life suddenly changes, and usually in a very overwhelming way. But a new cancer support community chapter in Missoula will be a place so no one goes through cancer alone. It provides a host of free services and support to help with anything you need to fight the good fight. And it's just getting started. Our own Jill Valley, a cancer survivor herself, has the story.
When Ray Curtis lost his wife Nancy to cancer 5 years ago, he wanted to make sure their daughter Jadie had the support to process that profound loss. Well, his research revealed many states have what's called cancer support community chapters. Bozeman did, but Missoula didn't.
Then asking the question, why doesn't Missoula have one? And then started asking Missoula people, why don't we have one? And time again, I heard people say, that's a great question. Why don't we have one?
And that began the effort to form Missoula's Cancer Support Community, part of a national nonprofit effort providing all kinds of free support to patients and their families and friends, no matter where they are in their treatment. As a relentless ally, their motto, no one faces cancer alone. They help even when you're not even sure what it is you need.
You know, when you've got an oncology appointment that maybe lasts 8 minutes on average, you know, because it has to, how do you fit in all the anxiety and the depression and the other things and the family? And what if you're having trouble sleeping? And, you know, we can provide some of those ancillary services that the oncologists and the hospital staff don't have time for. And then that helps the patient as well. They come to their appointment, they're ready to go because they've gotten some of those other questions answered. They're prepared. Those are really essential services for people in treatment and post-treatment to regain their life and sort of their vitality. And so this is a way for them not only to get those, resources, but also to do that in a community, a place where there are other people like them who get it.
Hallie Kern is a leukemia survivor herself, now a co-founder of Cancer Support Community.
But whether or not you're in a place mentally while you're in treatment or coming out of treatment to really even hold up that map and say, where do I need to go? That's what Cancer Support Community will do for everyone. I think you do need someone who's not your oncology nurse, who is not your physician, that's going to say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. You know, you're grieving. Your life just took a huge pause.
What's happening now? Fundraising to find a homey, non-medical type facility. Even without one just yet, though, the website is there to provide all sorts of support, not just for the patients, but for their families too.
I think that's what excites me too, is just the idea that we can help in so many different ways. And the bigger our community gets, the more we'll be able to offer. And that's just really exciting.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Right now, Cancer Support Community has a fundraiser where you merely donate your spare change. It's called Pour It Out Missoula. Take your change to either of the 2 bicycle hangar locations in Missoula and pour it out. You can also donate on their website. Their goal is $200,000. For more on that organization, you can go to KPAX.com. We'll be right back.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Russ Thomas.
All right, it is Monday morning, coming off a fantastic weather weekend. Not going to be quite as nice for our Monday or Tuesday. Not bad, just not as nice as what we saw this weekend, but it's pretty rare. We have what we had this weekend for those nice mid-March temperatures we had. Here's what we've got right now for you. 20s and 30s across the state. These numbers are a little bit above the norm for this time of day, for this time of year. Low 30s. What happened is we warmed up to 60 yesterday in Missoula, and we'll take a closer look at that in just 1 second. Not too far off our all-time record high, but those clouds moved in overnight, helping to kind of insulate us and keep us a little bit warmer out there this morning. And you'll notice that when you walk out the door, certainly compared to last week when you walked out and we had our temperatures at this time of day in the low 20s, now we're seeing low 30s. You saw the clouds out there. The average high in Missoula for Sunday, for yesterday, was 49. We saw a high of 60 in Missoula, the record 67, so we weren't right up against that 67, but we weren't too far off. Certainly can't beat what we had yesterday for this time of year. Our low was 22. The average low is 27. Again, this morning we're starting off much warmer. Kalispell saw a high of 58. Your average 45. So again, well above the norm. Great day. Not as warm today or tomorrow is what we saw this weekend. Let's take a look at our future track. What do we have in store for the region today? I think a little more cloud cover. In fact, we're going to go mostly cloudy. Could see a few scattered showers, especially this evening and overnight in northwest Montana. About a 20% chance in Missoula, about a 20% chance in Hamilton. The odds are very low. 32 this morning, 8 a.m. in Missoula, going to be 41 mostly cloudy at noon. We're going to top out right about 50 degrees this afternoon under that mostly cloudy sky. Kalispell, 35 this morning, 39, 10 a.m. We're going to see that high temperature warm up to about 49 again. Look for more clouds than sun throughout the day. Same thing in the Bitterroot Valley. Mostly cloudy, temperatures in the 30s, finally warming up to the upper 40s, possibly hitting 50. For tomorrow in Missoula, we'll see a high close to 50 once again. A little more sun tomorrow afternoon. We're going to go 49. St. Patrick's Day is looking very nice. 54 degrees under a mostly sunny sky. For Thursday, that looks like the warmest day this week. Very nice, 58 degrees. Again, mostly sunny. For Friday, 55 degrees, partly cloudy. Hamilton, same sort of scenario, 49, then 48 Tuesday, 54 St. Patrick's Day. Thursday and Friday, highs in the mid to upper 50s with sunshine. Finally in Kalispell, again, we get the clouds out of the way early in the week, then more sunshine. 50 Tuesday, 51 Wednesday, 56 on Thursday.
With the spring and summer months right around the corner, Missoula Parks and Recreation has released their plans for adult activities. Last year, COVID put a quick end to the spring and summer sports season, knocking out many activities before they even started. Because Parks and Recreation has to have their plans in place by February, they decided to take a cautious approach to 2021, despite vaccines becoming more readily available. This summer's schedule will be much closer to normal.
For summer, we're looking to get pretty close back to normal. Not quite as big as operations as we had 2 years ago, just because we're not sure how people will feel really, and trying to base programs off of last year's numbers, which went down to almost zero. So trying to build that back up, but not quite at full capacity like we have been in the past.
Among the adult outdoor sports planned for the summer are 7 versus 7 soccer, 11v11 soccer, softball, ultimate frisbee, and the fast-growing sport of pickleball.
When we come back, a visit with a Florence wrestler who brought home a first-of-its-kind state title. Montana This Morning continues after the break.
From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
With the high school winter sports season now in the books, it's time to take a closer look at some history that was made in Montana with the first ever all-girls state wrestling tournament in Billings. One Florence wrestler was one of the 11 individual state champions crowned at the inaugural meet. It was a title 4 years in the making, but one made a little more special by how challenging her senior year has been. MTN's Kyle Hansen has the story.
Well, Moshday Foster's name will forever be in the Montana history books after her win at the first ever all-girls state wrestling tournament 3 weeks ago. The Florence Carlton senior became the first girls heavyweight champion in state history, but it was a result that was almost never possible. Foster opted to forego her senior year of wrestling to keep her parents safe during the pandemic. However, once they received vaccinations and the Montana High School Association added a heavyweight division at the state tournament in the beginning of February, the door opened for Foster to compete once again.
She called me. I was working, and she called me, and I couldn't hardly understand her. She was so excited. And she's like, they added the weight class. They added the weight class. And that was a pretty big deal. I was really happy for her.
It was like a dream because I did come to terms with not having a senior season and like totally missing the opportunity to even wrestle girls or like even be there to experience it, even if they didn't have a heavyweight class.
So Foster crammed a season's worth of work into 3 weeks before the state tournament. Once there, in her lone wrestling match of the season, history was made.
That's why I think a lot went into the match, because like I could either come out as the first heavyweight state champion in Montana history and bring it home for my school and just kind of just be in the books. I just think that's so cool. Even like those girls are going to be in the books. Like it's not just the champions, it's also like every girl that even participated in wrestling.
Her victory comes at the end of a wrestling career built on perseverance. Foster joined the Florence wrestling team as a freshman, but as the team's lone female. Therefore, she wrestled just the boys for 3 years. The losses piled up and a few injuries came along the way, but through it all, she became a champion.
What I went through, pushing myself and not giving up, and like my mental journey was like getting my mental health like healthy also, instead of being so hard on myself at the fact that I was constantly losing. But I still won my matches, learned that losing was a learning point.
She deserves all the accolades she's getting. The whole thing, from beginning to end, has been a highlight of my life. One of those special things you won't ever forget.
Reporting in Florence, Kyle Hansen, MTN Sports.
It's just awesome. Foster says she's still considering whether or not she wants to wrestle in college, but she wants to stay involved with the sport in some capacity in life after high school.
That's really good to hear. Montana This Morning continues after a quick break.
From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us on Montana This Morning. I'm Mike Powers, joined this morning by Lauren Heiser as well as Russ Thomas. Good morning, you guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
are you?
How are you? How are you?
I am fantastic. You know, we all love our jobs here at KPAX, no doubt about it. But I will admit that it was a little difficult getting going this morning, considering how beautiful it's been and that time change too. Man.
Maggie and I went to the park twice yesterday because it was just so gorgeous outside. I couldn't get her to come back inside.
I was going to say, Mike, I would say that 99% of it has to do with the idea that we just had that time change, and that is the whole reason why it is so difficult. But yes, the weather was fantastic yesterday. I mentioned this earlier, I know, but Missoula hit a high temperature of 60 degrees, the first time since November the 5th. We've seen that number in Missoula, and it was so welcome.
Absolutely.
No doubt. I mean, the sun was just, you just wanted to stand there. Anyway.
I did that, and I saw you doing it too. It was weird, but anyway, let's go ahead and show you what we've got with our temperatures right now around the state. Got a lot of low to mid 30s out there in western Montana. Now, what happened is we did warm up so nicely both Saturday and Sunday, and then we had those clouds increase throughout the overnight hours, so we kind of got those temperatures insulated. A lot of times, a lot of mornings last week, most of them we were sitting there with those numbers in the low 20s this time of day. Well, now we've got out there, or those temperatures about 10 degrees warmer because of that. Going to go ahead and bump the graphic here. Looks like I'm going to have to move to do that. Having some issues again. Satellite radar is where we're going to go. And again, you can see what we've got there. We can have those clouds that are rolling in. Now, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk to you a little bit more about what we're expecting this weekend. It's going to get a little bit cooler at the beginning of the week, but I think we'll warm back up nicely as we approach our Wednesday and Thursday.
Thanks, Russ. Well, you now have a month left to file your taxes with the IRS, but some people who filed early are reporting delays in getting their refund. Consumer reporter John Maritis looks into what may be going wrong this year so you don't waste your money.
New year, same old problems with the IRS and tax filing. Just weeks into the new filing system, a growing number of people are complaining about tax refund delays. Heather Niehaus is a busy mom of a precious little 2-year-old, and every dollar counts. So she filed her taxes as soon as she could this year.
I was an early filer. I filed probably, I think it was like the end of January.
But a month and a half later,
and I still haven't got mine back.
The IRS got a late start processing returns this year due to the January stimulus checks. But even with that, Heather says her refund's now 3 weeks late. You haven't seen anything?
I haven't seen anything.
So what's going on this time? Well, the pandemic staffing issues the IRS dealt with last year are not all resolved. On top of that, add another round of stimulus checks and the thousands of calls the IRS will now be getting as a result. The Government Accounting Office, GAO, is warning of several glitches right now, including late mail, issues with the Where's My Refund app, and leftover returns to process from last year. So Forbes magazine says be sure to file electronically and request direct deposit. And check the Where's My Refund feature frequently. So for Heather, that's a lesson in frustration.
They said that it was still processing, it would be up to another 2 weeks.
And with more stimulus checks going out, the IRS will soon be swamped with phone calls. So get those taxes done soon so you don't waste your money. I'm John Madries, MTN News.
You likely thought the 2020 election was over. Well, it's possible a current member of Congress could be kicked out in the coming days because her election is being challenged in one of the tightest races on record. Our Joe St. George with a closer look at what's going on and whether Congress swore in the wrong person.
Congress has been busy this year.
The bill as amended is passed.
They just passed a stimulus package, they endured an insurrection, and voted on impeachment. But is there someone actively voting as a member of Congress who shouldn't be there? Well, the answer Depends on who you ask. The controversy is all about the 2nd Congressional District in Iowa, represented by Republican Congresswoman Marinette Miller-Meeks. She defeated in November, according to Iowa state officials, Democrat Rita Hart by, get this, just 6 votes, one of the closest elections in American history. But Hart is saying she actually won the election and that 22 ballots were not counted that should have been.
Each House of Congress shall be the judge of its own elections.
As a result, the House Committee on Administration has started investigating whether they swore in the wrong member of Congress. Republicans are furious.
We're having a meeting to move forward with overturning an election of one of our colleagues.
But so far, the committee hasn't dismissed calls to drop the challenge, and investigation continues.
These allegations warrant further investigation by the committee.
As far as how this impacts you, well, changing one seat would not impact the balance of power in Congress, but it could set a precedent for Congress being more involved in who gets sworn in close races. Speaker Pelosi said last week there is a scenario where the current congressman gets kicked out.
There could be a scenario to that extent.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Joe St. George.
Pandemic impacts are felt especially by Montana's indigenous people, who are again facing a deadly pathogen with the capability of devastating their culture and community. MTN's Marian Davidson travels to Browning to see firsthand the incredible steps that leaders took to protect their people and the impact it has had on these tight-knit families.
This memorial wasn't here a year ago. 47 names, 47 Blackfeet tribal members lost to COVID-19.
You don't have time to grieve. You don't have time to heal. Every person you know, you've had a run-in with them or a story to tell about that person.
Blackfeet Nation has been under a state of emergency due to COVID-19 for nearly a year, and the year has not been easy.
You could have probably heard a pin drop through town during that time. People were ultimately scared of the COVID-19 pandemic.
At its height, there were 390 active cases of the virus on the Blackfeet Reservation. In a span of just 10 days, the number of active COVID-19 cases nearly tripled. And throughout the pandemic, state and national data show COVID-19 infects and kills Native Americans at a higher rate than the population as a whole.
It was spreading like wildfire. We were in a panic mode thinking, oh no, what if we all go down as a community?
After the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed in Montana, the Blackfeet Tribal Council acted quickly, shut down everything but grocery stores and the hospital, closed the east entrances of Glacier National Park, installed a curfew. In a place like Browning, where everyone knows everyone, the change was immediate and noticeable.
Part of the joy of living here on the reservation is just going out to see one another, see other people. You kind of strained a huge depression, a dark cloud over the reservation.
Boggs stayed away from his family, afraid to get his parents sick, and he remembers watching in fear as cases climbed just over the mountains in Flathead County. His young son lives in Kalispell. The virus kept them apart for months on end.
It really threw the emotional state of me, it threw me for a loop. It really did.
Months removed from the COVID-19 spike on the reservation and a year out from Montana's first reported case, the situation looks very different. There are no active cases here. McNeely attributes that to people sacrificing, following restrictions for so long.
They cherish their loved ones and their elders and their children, and so that's where they really bought into this.
And there's the vaccine. The reservation is on track to be fully vaccinated by mid-May.
Well, it's a beacon of hope. It truly is. It's almost like we made it.
People are ready to go back to some semblance of normal, but the impact of the virus still lingers.
Between everybody, it's really distant. It's going to take a long time before we go back to normal.
And there are still the 47 tribal members gone in less than a year, victims of the pandemic. In Browning, Marian Davidson, MTN News.
Entertainment news now. Taylor Swift and Beyonce made Grammy history last night. Taylor Swift won her 3rd Album of the Year award. She's the first female artist to accomplish that and just the 4th artist overall. Previous 3-time winners are Frank Sinatra, Paul Simon, and Stevie Wonder. Beyoncé became the winningest female artist with her 28th Grammy Award. She trails only classical conductor Sir George Solti, who owns the overall record with 31 Grammy wins.
Wow.
And I thought the Grammy telecast was getting a little bit closer to normal last night with more of an in-person feel. I thought it was a pretty good little show from what I got to see.
I didn't actually get to watch it, and so it's been nice to see kind of the replays throughout the morning of all of this. It was great news to wake up to.
Yeah, and I didn't see it either. You know, you can obviously just, while watching a little what we saw there, tell that there is that difference that we see with everything, with, you know, the social distance. But I'll tell you this, those two in particular, I'm not at all ashamed to admit this. I'm a huge fan of both Beyonce and Taylor Swift.
Oh,
and I think that's awesome. So yeah, I know. It's something I don't talk about a lot, but apparently I'm no, but really though, it was that just for those two alone, that's awesome.
Lewis missed this story, but he's always singing some kind of Taylor Swift
Oh,
over
is
in
that right?
the Weather Center, so
didn't
I'm
know
sure he
that.
was pretty happy this morning too.
He and I have so much to talk about.
Oh no.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about weather right now. Here's what we've got for you as we look at our Monday forecast for you. Starting off with temperatures in the upper 20s to low 30s at their 28 Kalispell. We've got 32 Polson, 30 for Missoula, 30 degrees for Hamilton. As we look at our satellite and radar image, what we have for you is a lot of cloud cover right now, streaming across western Montana, much the same. Now there's a nice little gap there where some are waking up. That sky is completely clear, but again, that is not the case here in western Montana. That's why we're waking up in the 30s as opposed to the lower 20s. This is what we saw so much of early last week. Yesterday hit 60 in Missoula. Again, mentioned this earlier in the show, but we haven't seen 60 degrees in Missoula since early November 5th. So it's been a lot of days. Again, not going to do the math for you. A lot of days since we've last seen that. That is good news to see it. It felt so good out there. Record high 67. We weren't too far off of that. Kalispell 58 degrees. That was our high. See the average 45, so well above normal. Didn't hit 60, but gosh, we were certainly very close. And you see the average high, or the record high, I should say, 65. So again, only 7 degrees shy of that record. We're not going to see that today. We're not going to see it tomorrow, and pretty likely that we're not going to see 60 this week. Missoula's going to knock on the door on Thursday. I don't think we're going to quite get there, but even with a cool down today, it's going to go back to about the average for this time of year. We're going to see more cloud cover today for sure. Odds of showers, yeah, they'll increase, but it's still going to be a very low chance. One thing we are going to see in the eastern part of the state, Billings going to get some snow today, Miles City getting some snow. Not here in western Montana. Again, we're just going to see more clouds. Highs in the upper 40s to low 50s for most areas up and down the valleys of western Montana. 50 for Missoula, 49 Kalispell, 49 degrees, mostly cloudy. That forecast high in Hamilton. Want to give you a quick look at our 6 to 10 day outlook, meaning we're taking you into next week. And the reason I want to point that out is we do have an opportunity for some more showery weather, and we are kind of at a point where we'd like to at least see occasionally get some wetter conditions in the region. So that opportunity will be there at least for, let's just say, maybe the beginning and middle part of next week, perhaps even this weekend coming up. In the meantime, 7-day forecast for this week. We've got 49 on Tuesday, sunshine, good looking day, 54 on Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day looking very nice. How about 58 on Thursday, 55 on Friday. Quick look at Hamilton, 49 today, 48 Tuesday, 54 on Wednesday, upper to mid 50s with sunshine Thursday and Friday.
Thanks, Russ. Well, coming up next on Montana This Morning, we'll check in with Brian and Chris over at Z100. Stick around, we'll be right back.
From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Welcome back. It's time now to check in with Brian and Chris over at Z100.
Why, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
Good morning.
Hello. Welcome to a lovely Monday. Got some good news for you, though. Hey, guess what? Halfway through the month already.
That's right.
That is good news.
Look at that, right? Those are some good news.
Just like
that. Today is actually a very, very exciting day.
It is. And I
didn't know if you guys know about this or not.
Or been talking about it,
Yeah, you guys have been maybe you guys have been talking about this all morning long. We don't know.
Yeah.
Huh.
Buzzards Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Buzzards or
Buzzards or
Yeah.
buzzard?
Yeah, I
I'm
haven't-
confused.
Buzzards.
Buzzards.
With a D.
Buzzards Day.
Okay.
It's a holiday. It's held on March 15th every single year.
Okay.
Just so you know, this is when the Buzzards come back to Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
You're making that up.
I kid you not. We are not making it up. You think
We
we
actually
can
printed it out. Yeah.
No, yes,
Yeah.
this is really that day.
I'm picking up my cake later at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Perfect.
For the past 6 years, history has since proven that buzzards return to Cleveland, Ohio area on March 15th every year.
That's so
and
specific.
leave it up to, I don't know, probably a radio station to come up with an idea to have a Buzzards Day in celebration of them coming back. And we were doing a little research, too. We found out that here in Montana,
We do have
the
buzzards.
Zoo of Montana has two.
Yeah.
Two
Lurch
buzzards.
and Gomez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we
So-
don't have an official like telephone pole they all circle around on any given day, you know. So, I mean, we did try to find out if we have that here in Big Sky
Yeah.
Country, you know,
Yeah.
like a momentous day that we celebrate turkey vultures here. But, no.
The whole reason why we're bringing this up, by the way, is because we're really tired because we lost an hour of sleep yesterday. So today's burning question, and I know this is going to be a quick one for us all, so that's why we had to bring up Buzzards Day to stretch a little bit.
Right.
Today's burning question, because I know you guys were thinking, do they have one? Are you tired?
I thought it was going to be, what is your favorite activity on Buzzards Day?
No, nobody has any energy to celebrate buzzards right now. Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, now that I know the history, though, I want to celebrate it. I'm going to find a way because you did the work to bring me that information, and I appreciate it.
Well, Lauren, you could just lie down out in an open field for a while.
Oh.
You know, not move for 7-8 hours and see if you attract any.
Take a nap at a
Is
field
not
day.
how I'm going to celebrate today. That is not how I'm going to celebrate.
To answer your question, yes.
Yes.
I'm tired.
Well,
Yes.
Russ worked weekends too, you
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
and so he did
Right.
the 10 o'clock show, and now he's here
What
in
a
the
trooper.
mornings.
Yep.
Yeah, I won't. Yes, that is completely 100% correct.
Standing next to him, I can't complain about being tired for losing an hour of sleep.
Right.
I can't do it.
Thank you.
We're not asking you to complain. We're just asking you to tell the truth.
Right.
Well, then yes, I am tired. Yes,
Thank you.
Of course, it's Monday morning.
I always
you
wanted to be a
guys.
prosecutor.
Is that what you call it?
Well, I think we're all in the same boat on that. So for those that aren't tired and want something to do today, enjoy Buzzards Day and celebrate however you choose. You guys have a fantastic Monday, and we'll check in with you guys tomorrow, all right?
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Russ Thomas.
Welcome back on this Monday morning. I hope your day is off to a great start. I know we just talked about losing that hour of sleep, and you might have felt it yesterday, or you might even more so be feeling it this morning now that you've got to go back to work and you got to wake up at a specific time. So yeah, just know that you're going to get through it. The weather not as great as we had this weekend, but it's not going to be that bad out there. Let's take a look at our numbers around the state right now. 20s and 30s, 28 Kalispell, 30 for Missoula and Hamilton right now. That is a warmer certainly than we had for those overnight lows last week. One of the reasons we have cloud cover, which has moved across the region. It'll be there for a good portion of the day. We'll get, I think, a little bit of sunshine here and there, but certainly more clouds than sunshine. That's where we're going to go, mostly cloudy area wide. As we look at our future track, one thing we'll notice here, despite a good deal more cloud cover, kind of a lack of showers. Not a complete lack. We will see a few showers. I think a better odds in northwest Montana, Flathead Valley, Mission Valley than we're going to see in the Missoula Bitter Valley. But even there, only about a 30, maybe 40% chance coming later on this afternoon and this evening. But by and large, it really is this system that's going to move through. It's not so much about packing a lot of moisture, a big punch there. It's just about bringing clouds and those cooler temperatures. Whereas yesterday we were sitting in the mid 50s to low 60s across the region. Today we're going to see mid 40s to low 50s. So about a 10-degree drop on average area wide. But that just puts us back to about normal for this time of year. Yesterday's highs were well above normal, so we're just going to settle back into more typical mid-March. For Missoula, 32 8 a.m. this morning, 41 at noon. We're going to top out right about 50 degrees this afternoon. In Kalispell, we've got the same sort of scenario. Mostly cloudy conditions throughout the day. We're going to wind up right around 49 degrees under a mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. And in Hamilton, we're going to slowly work our way from about 33 8 a.m. to about 49 by the late afternoon hours. That's what we're expecting for that forecast high. Could we see a raindrop or two? Yes, the odds are pretty low. We get back to Tuesday. We're going to call tomorrow partly cloudy to mostly clear by late in the day. Again, a slim chance of a shower, mainly early in the day. Missoula, 7-day forecast Tuesday. not too bad. Partly cloudy, 49. Mostly sunny on Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day, 54 degrees. Very nice. Thursday, 58. Friday, 55. So a good finish to the week for sure. Kalispell, 50 for tomorrow, 51 degrees. Mostly sunny on St. Patrick's Day. 56, your warmest day. That's on Thursday. And just a quick look at Hamilton, showing you 54 on Wednesday, 58 for Thursday.
The Prickly Pear Land Trust has partnered with the Rocky Mountain Development Council to provide a resource to those in need in the Helena area. MTN's Alexia Guello says saw its impact firsthand.
Whether the old school way or the new way, different generations of tree cutting tools have gathered here at 10 Mile Park to bring warmth to the community.
So this is a community partnership between a lot of different entities to provide free firewood to low-income folks or people who have disabilities that make it difficult for them to get firewood.
This project was brought on by the Prickly Pear Land Trust in coordination with the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, or LEAP, which assists low-income households meet expenses of keeping warm during cold months. One volunteer understands the situation. He himself heats his home with wood and is happy to give this needed resource to the community.
Getting it out is the hardest part. So now that Prickly Pear and LEAP brought it here, like getting it done right in town will make it a lot easier for folks to just come pick it up, period. So
Prickly Pear considers this to be a pilot program and hopes to prepare more wood in the future to warm more homes. 20 volunteers from local businesses and churches split about 40 cubic yards of donated wood in about 3 hours.
This is why I got into ministry, being able to do this kind of work and helping other people out, working together and partnering with other resources in town and other organizations. It's great to work together.
In Helena, Alexia Guayo, MTN News.
Montana This Morning will be right back. Welcome back. Here's a live look over Missoula from our St. Patrick Hospital iCam. The temperature right now in Missoula is 30 degrees, in Kalispell it's 28, and in Helena it's 30. Community dancers took advantage of the warm March weather with a show just in time for St. Patrick's Day. The Missoula Irish dancers performed live for the first time since the start of the pandemic a year ago. Saturday morning at Caras Park, they showcased their moves to parents, family, and onlookers. The traditional Irish step dance school hosts classes for children grades K through 12. Owner of the Missoula Irish Dancers, Sarah Donnelly-Litz, told MTN News that this year is atypical for the school, and students are so excited to be performing again. Well, let's get a check of that forecast with meteorologist Russ Thomas.
All right, yeah, let's go and show you what we've got with that forecast for today. 50 degrees, mostly cloudy, so we got that there today in Missoula. 49 for Kalispell, 49 degrees. Our forecast high in Hamilton under mostly cloudy sky. As we look at what we've got for the next 7 days, we've got 49 on Tuesday. We'll see a little more sunshine tomorrow than what we have out there today. As we look at our forecast for Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day looking good, 54 degrees with sunshine. How about the close of the week? 58 Thursday, 55 on Friday. And again, that comes under a sunny sky. For Saturday and Sunday, highs of 50 and 48. For Kalispell, we've got 50 degrees, mostly sunny for Tuesday, partly cloudy to mostly sunny Wednesday with a high of 51 degrees. Thursday, Friday, 56 and 52, and then a little cooler by next weekend. And a quick look at Hamilton, 48 Tuesday, 54 on Wednesday, warmest day on Thursday, looking good with a high of 58, and then 55 degrees on Friday.
From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning, and thank you for waking up with us here on Montana This Morning. I'm Lauren Heiser. Mike Powers and Russ Thomas join me now as we start this morning. And guys, it's kind of a sad start of the week. It is the start of my last week here at KPAX. I've been here for just under 4 years, and at the end of the month, I am transferring to our sister station in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, it's just going to be a tough week for all of us.
That was hard to say.
You've been, such a, you're so much younger than me, but I've leaned on you here, which is kind of reverse. But we're happy for you. It's going to be a great opportunity for you. There's no question.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, Russ.
Nope, go ahead.
I've been trying to soak in as much of Montana as I possibly can in my last couple of weeks. And Russ, the weather was perfect over the weekend.
Weather was perfect. I was going to say, it's funny because I remember that when you started here, weekends, you were just, and you were kind of behind the cameras. No, pretty quickly though. I think it was, no, I'm not kidding, Mike. I think it was like with that first week, there was that she was here and opening came. And I remember telling her, if I've got this right, I was saying, Lord, there's something that's actually, I believe, on camera that's coming up. I believe as a reporter, I was like, you should go for that thing, do this. And she just jumped right in. I mean, it was like she was here for a week and she passed me at some point within about 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, well, there she goes. All right. It was really good. Then she wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't look at me. It was,
that is so
when you get to be a star, I mean, that's what happens.
I'm just kidding. No.
It's funny you mentioned that because Russ, I had completely forgotten, but he's the one who told me about an open reporter position because I started behind the cameras here at KPAX, just running cameras and doing audio. And Russ, you were the one who said, hey, there's a reporter position open, and I applied.
I think she'd been here like 15 hours, but I was like, I think I see something in her.
I've been here like a month or so, yeah.
But no, we're excited. You know, Atlanta's my hometown. I'm sad to see you go, of course, but I go back to Atlanta every year, so I'm just going to bug you there when I go back there.
Perfect.
So anyway, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our temperatures right now. 35 degrees Polson, 30 in Missoula, 29 Hamilton, 28 in Kalispell. And again, those numbers, we're not going to warm up as warm as we were yesterday or even Saturday. We're going to have more cloud cover today, but it is not going to be a bad day at all. Satellite and radar image, you can see some of the clouds that we do have in place right now across western Montana, and those are going to stick with us again throughout the course of the day. We'll get a little sunshine in there, but it's not going to be a lot. Certainly not like we saw this weekend or even last Friday. In fact, take a look at our future track and what we've got for you for today. Despite the fact we're going to have a pretty good deal of cloud cover, I think the showers are going to be few and far between. Now, coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have a complete look at your forecast for the week ahead. That includes what you might expect if you're heading out for St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks, Russ. Well, half of the jurors have been seated as we head into week 2 of the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged in the death of George Floyd. Julia Janae with our partner at Court TV has the latest.
Jury selection continues with week 2 in the case of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. There are half of the necessary jurors already seated on this panel in the case of George Floyd's death. Those jurors underwent rigorous questioning, and we expect that to continue with a fresh batch of new jurors for the pool. Now, most of those jurors were asked about how they feel seeing the security precautions around the courthouse. This building is more of a fortress with several layers of security inside and the National Guard posted outside. They've also been asked if they feel minorities are treated differently by police. And one woman who agreed with that statement is now a member of the panel, a woman in her 50s selected on Friday. She brings the breakdown of this jury to 5 men and 2 women, ranging in age from their 20s to their 50s. The court needs in total 14 jurors, 12 on the panel and 2 alternates to complete the jury selection process. The state still has 4 strikes to use if they want when going through the jury selection, and the defense still has 7. Reporting in Minneapolis, Julia Janae for Court TV.
You now have a month left to file your taxes with the IRS, but some people who filed early are reporting delays getting their refunds. Consumer reporter John Matarese looks into what may be going wrong this year so you don't waste your money.
New year, same old problems with the IRS and tax filing. Just weeks into the new filing system, a growing number of people are complaining about tax refund delays. Heather Niehaus is a busy mom of a precious little 2-year-old, and every dollar counts. So she filed her taxes as soon as she could this year.
I was an early filer. I filed probably, I think it was like the end of January.
But a month and a half later,
and I still haven't got mine back.
The IRS got a late start processing returns this year due to the January stimulus checks. But even with that, Heather says her refund's now 3 weeks late. You haven't seen anything?
I haven't seen anything.
So what's going on this time? Well, the pandemic staffing issues the IRS dealt with last year are not all resolved. On top of that, add another round of stimulus checks and the thousands of calls the IRS will now be getting as a result. The Government Accounting Office, GAO, is warning of several glitches right now, including late mail, issues with the Where's My Refund app, and leftover returns to process from last year. So Forbes magazine says be sure to file electronically and request direct deposit. And check the Where's My Refund feature frequently. Though for Heather, that's a lesson in frustration.
They said that it was still processing, it would be up to another 2 weeks.
And with more stimulus checks going out, the IRS will soon be swamped with phone calls, so get those taxes done soon so you don't waste your money. I'm John Madrees, MTN News.
With the job market tanked, forcing families to reevaluate finances, food insecurity across America exploded. Now, the Missoula Food Bank felt the pressure almost immediately. MTN's Megan Mannering tells us how they responded to the call as we look back on a year of the pandemic.
Unfortunately, we were a growth industry before the pandemic. We had always, we tend to be busier today than we were yesterday in an ongoing way.
In 2019, the Missoula Food Bank and its 400 weekly volunteers saw nearly 27,000 people walk through those doors, and that was before the pandemic.
Last year, more than 36,000 separate individuals walked through our doors. That's close to 20% busier than we were in calendar year 2019.
These numbers paint a devastating picture for the Missoula community.
So many families are hurting a little more than they were a year ago.
But when our citizens turned to the food bank for food security, Executive Director Aaron Brock says they didn't have time to panic. They only had time to act.
It really was March 13th of last year. That was a day that we all realized this is happening, it's happening right now, and we need to adjust our distribution immediately. So we spent that entire weekend setting up a whole new distribution model. It's been grab and go now for an entire year.
What once operated as a free grocery store with items on shelves shifted to quick interactions with volunteers, grabbing a preloaded shopping cart based on family size and hitting the road.
The idea is that if I need groceries, I'm really only in the food bank for 30 or 45 seconds.
If it weren't for an outpouring of donations, Brock says their supply wouldn't have met the demand.
There were so many generous Missoulians and folks in this region who stepped up and said, as you're dealing with how to respond, let's make sure that you don't worry about having enough money to buy the food that you need.
In Missoula, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Seeing how efficient their operation has become, Brock says that the food bank may continue to offer some sort of grab-and-go service even after the pandemic ends.